And here is Arkady VOLODOS.
Arkady VOLODOS is one of the most unique and mysterious pianists, and easily one of my favorites. Known for his superhuman natural technique, many sources say he only started to take piano seriously at the age of 15. His career exploded in the 90s thanks to his mind-blowing technical ability and incredibly powerful charisma. But what's fascinating is that about a decade later, his priorities shifted completely. He moved away from showcasing jaw-dropping virtuosity and began focusing on more introspective, emotionally subtle compositions. And what amazes me most is that his ability to captivate listeners with slow, subtle, anti-virtuoso pieces is just as unreal as his incredible acrobatic technique. In the next video, I'll speak about his extraordinary musicality, but in this video, we'll explore what makes his technique so special. And you'll pick up tips that could transform your own practice. What's incredible about VOLODOS' technique is that even at insane speeds, every motion looks precise, elegant, and efficient. If you slow down, you might notice how ergonomic and precise his movements are. What's inspiring is that all pianists can achieve this level of efficiency at least at moderately quick tempi through good hand positioning and smart practice. But here's the catch: most pianists hit a speed limit where they have to sacrifice some efficiency to maintain performance results. Even the most famous players often show signs of tension when playing at extreme speeds. So if you can play efficiently at slower tempos but experience tension when speeding up, don't get discouraged, please. It's normal, unfortunately. VOLODOS is a rare exception to this rule. The key is to first master efficiency at any tempo, no matter how slow. Most learners rush and never spend enough time implementing natural, precise motions. In the next videos, I'll share practical tips on how to naturally increase speed while staying relaxed, so stay tuned. For example, when I learn a piece which involves a lot of quick position changes, I would make sure to practice it slowly as much as necessary until I get to a point where everything feels very efficient and smooth. And I can spend 10 minutes or I can spend a week, I don't care. I want this result, so that I would feel myself absolutely comfortable and very efficient and confident. And then I use this as a foundation to bring up a tempo gradually to the desirable tempo, but preserving the same efficient motion pattern. And if you're ready to transform your piano technique, my most comprehensive course on rebuilding your technical foundation is currently on flash sale, so check it out following the link in the description. There are two key secrets to piano playing efficiency, and they're surprisingly simple, yet incredibly powerful. The first one is hand position. Your hand position is crucial and should be set up correctly from the start. Ideally, your fingers should be strong enough to support not just the weight of the arm, but also some of your body weight as well, all while maintaining a flexible wrist. So a simple test to check the finger strength is fall onto the keys using just two fingers, for example 2-5, pressing any keys you like, and try to avoid the joints collapsing. So this nail joint here and this knuckle joint here in both fingers, they must remain stable, not collapsing backwards. Start very gently, using minimal force, and see how much pressure you can handle before losing control, before collapsing the fingers or before raising your wrist. Because when our fingers fail, when we feel that we don't have enough strength in the fingers, the wrist aims to help, so it starts to go up. Yeah? So we have to avoid this. And please be careful. It's very easy to overdo this test and injure yourself, so be gentle. So you start gently and softly and then intensify the pressure and see how much of the arm weight and body weight you can withhold. Maintaining flexibility in the wrist and stability in the fingers. So the point here is that your fingers must be so strong that even when you throw the weight of your body on the keys, the finger joints don't collapse and the wrist remains flexible and free. And this is essential in some romantic works, especially when playing with the orchestra, like for example in this concerto. So the problem is that the orchestra plays here so massively that normally you just don't hear a pianist. It looks like a silent movie when a person makes like thousands of movements with the fingers, but you can't hear any note. So in order to get through the orchestra, your fifth finger in the left hand, in order to provide this bell-like mighty sound, it should be so strong that you would provide an impulse from your lower back, and the finger would withhold that whole weight, accelerate it so much. That's why the finger strength is essential, and that's why when we lack it, we would naturally compensate it by raising the wrist. Unfortunately, this is a very bad compensation because then we are extremely vulnerable and we accumulate a lot of tension. The second skill to develop is instant relaxation. Many students I worked with struggle not only due to weak fingers and poor hand positioning, but also because they don't release tension fast enough. VOLODOS demonstrates this perfectly. He releases his fingers instantly without holding onto any tension. By contrast, most students would stay tense for too long after playing the fifth finger here, causing unnecessary fatigue and limiting speed. That's why it's crucial to start practicing in a tempo in which you actually can relax fingers consciously after each strike. It takes many days, I know, and it needs patience, unfortunately. That's why most people fail to practice correctly, implementing tension instead of efficiency. Another fantastic feature of VOLODOS' style, directly resulting from immediate finger release and great hand position, is the perfect balance between key support and lightness of touch. Because most players tend to fall into one of two extremes, either pressing the keys too hard, which leads to a speed limit, fatigue, and heaviness. It's like an elephant trying to sprint. Or playing too lightly, barely touching the keys, which forces them to hold the weight of the arms like this, and create tension, mechanical sounds, ghost notes, and a range of other problems. So finding the sweet spot where you have proper support but maintain a sense of lightness in the arms, so your arms don't feel bulky or heavy, it's not an easy task. It's actually a very advanced skill to master. And in my course, I introduce a concept which I call leaning points, designed to help you clearly understand and work on achieving this balance between support and lightness. Wow, that's incredible. So here, VOLODOS demonstrates something that can make life so much easier at the piano. And yet, it's something that I have to remind my students constantly. Moving to the next position with relaxed arms, but staying close to the keys with the fingers. So instead of lifting the fingers and the hands unnecessarily, VOLODOS keeps them low, sensing the correct notes kinesthetically before striking them. And the second point is using a whipping motion from the back. This allows him to play with both power and precision. Most students, however, fall on the keys from above, which leads to increased tension and less control. Of course, when we observe pianists in this tempo, we might think that they are just working with their fingers. But the truth is that if you really slow down this clip, you might notice that VOLODOS is actually using counter motions for fingers 5 and 4. So he is playing those two sounds on a tiny forearm motion, which improves efficiency between those weaker fingers quite a lot. So when you practice any kind of passages like these, you have to consciously coordinate your motions like this in a slower tempo, making sure that you play this combination of fingers on counter motions, assisting yourself with the forearm. Playing in groups first, like this. And then additionally learning to quickly relax between those groups. Relax. Relax. Move to the next position. So this is how you practice it, in steps. Look at how effortlessly VOLODOS achieves Fortissisimo, a gigantic, powerful sound that never becomes harsh or percussive. This is possible thanks to a few key factors. First of all, of course, voicing. So even at the peak of the climax, he carefully voices the melody while keeping the left hand much milder. This balance ensures that the sound remains rich and expressive rather than overpowering. And of course, a very clever usage of the gravity and tension control. So to avoid a harsh or percussive tone, it's essential to cushion the impact after the strike with the wrist. And when I was a teenager, actually, I was even skinnier than I am now, and I had enough strength to play loudly, but my sound often came out harsh. And I noticed that players who carried a little bit of extra weight seemed to produce a bigger but more noble sound without effort or percussiveness. Now, I'm quite happy with my body composition, to be honest, and I don't plan to gain any weight, even if it would benefit my piano playing. But I've found a very simple trick that works wonders. So when I practice, I imagine that my arms and torso are actually heavier than they are. And this psychological shift magically helps me tap into my body weight more effectively, allowing me to produce a fuller, warmer tone without relying on brute force. So if you're as skinny as me, but you want to get a big and noble sound, two things to remember is cushioning with the wrist. And just imagine that you are bigger than you actually are. And hopefully that will help. Thank you for watching this, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell, because in the next video we are going to analyze VOLODOS's incredible musicianship.